Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures where humanity always rises. Commander Arya Collins stood inside the dark control room of United Earth Defense as alarms echoed across the base, red lights flashing like a heartbeat of danger. For months, strange signals had come from deep space, but tonight the signal was different. It was stronger, clearer, and filled with a cold intention that made every person in the room fall silent. Arya watched the large hologram screen as the signal played again. The voice was sharp and metallic, speaking in an alien language that human translators struggled to decode. When the words finally appeared in English, the entire room froze. Humanity is weak. Prepare the chains. Arya felt the weight of those words hitting her chest like a heavy stone. It was not a friendly message, not a warning, not an invitation. It was a promise of enslavement. She looked at her officers. Fear was in their eyes, but so was anger. Outside the base, the night sky looked calm, but deep beyond that darkness something massive was moving toward Earth. Hours earlier, a human mining station on Mars had gone silent. No escape pods. No distress message. No survivors. Now Arya knew why. The aliens, known as the Zero Dominion, had entered the solar system without sound, like hunters entering a sleeping village. They wanted humans as workers for their empire. Nothing more, nothing less. Arya tightened her jaw. She was not the type to panic. She had trained for war, but nothing prepared her for facing a species that had crossed stars to put chains on her people. She turned to her communication officer and said, "Activate Code Black." Those words spread like lightning across the world. Every major military base became alert. Satellites turned their lenses toward the darkness of space. Fighter pilots rushed to their ships. But the public did not yet know the truth. Earth was calm on the surface, unaware that danger was only hours away. Arya watched as new images appeared on the screen. Alien scout ships had reached the edge of Earth's orbit. Sleek, sharp, and glowing with blue energy, they moved like predators. No attempt at communication. No negotiation. The scouts simply scanned Earth's cities as if choosing which ones to strike first. Arya's second-in-command, Captain Ryan Holt, stepped beside her. "Do you think they will attack soon?" he asked. Arya replied with a steady voice. "They did not come to talk. They came to take." In the far distance, behind the moon's shadow, the human fleet waited, silent and dark. Dozens of ships, old models and new ones, hidden from alien scanners. Arya had ordered them into position before the alien message even finished decoding. She trusted instinct over politics. If humanity wanted to survive, they needed to act first. She turned on the Global Leader channel. Faces of presidents and commanders filled the screen. Some demanded peace talks. Some shouted in fear. Others argued that Earth had no chance. Arya cut them off. "Listen. They destroyed Mars base. They sent us a message calling us weak. They want to enslave every human being. If we do nothing, our world will fall. I am preparing the fleet to defend Earth." Some leaders objected, but Arya did not wait. She ended the call and stood tall. "Prepare the warships." Her words carried a fire that moved through every soldier and officer. Humanity would not kneel today. Deep in space, the alien mothership drifted closer. It was enormous, larger than any human ship, shaped like a floating fortress. Alien commanders on board watched Earth with cold amusement. They had conquered dozens of planets before. They believed humans would break easily, like dry sticks. They did not know the truth. Humans fought hardest when their freedom was in danger. As the alien fleet approached, strange lights flickered across the night sky. People around the world recorded the glowing shapes with their phones, thinking it was some rare astronomical event. They had no idea death was coming. Back in the command room, Arya felt the air grow tense. "Alien ships are entering low orbit," an officer reported. The screen showed several alien vessels lowering toward Earth, their energy weapons powering up. A sound filled the room, a long, rising hum. The sound of alien weapons charging. Arya's heartbeat quickened, but her face remained calm. "Contact the human fleet," she ordered. "Tell them to move." From the dark side of the moon, humanity's warships came to life. Engines lit up. Shields activated. The fleet moved into formation like a pack of wolves preparing to defend their home. Arya watched them and whispered to herself, "If they want slaves, they will face warriors." Then the first alien scout ship fired a warning blast. A bright blue beam cut through the sky and struck an empty ocean, sending up a tower of steam. The message was clear: surrender or die. Panic spread across Earth as people realized the truth. This was not a drill. This was an invasion. Arya raised her hand and gave the command that would change human history forever. Human fleet, engage. Engines roared. Missiles loaded. Fighters launched. The battle for Earth began in a burst of fire and light. The first shots were exchanged in the silent vacuum above the planet. And as explosions lit the darkness, Arya felt the full weight of fate pressing on her shoulders. This was only the beginning. The aliens thought humans would bow. They were about to learn how wrong they were. As the first shots of battle flashed across the darkness of space, Earth finally woke up to the terrible truth. Humanity was under attack. People in cities all over the world stared at the sky, watching strange lights move like fast blue fire. Some thought they were meteors, others believed it was a rare cosmic event, but within minutes emergency broadcasts cut through every screen and speaker. A calm but shaking voice announced, "This is not a drill. Earth is under alien threat. Seek shelter." Panic exploded instantly. Cars jammed the roads, families rushed into underground stations, and soldiers filled the streets. Yet even in the chaos, the human spirit refused to break. Firefighters helped elderly people, neighbors opened their doors for strangers, and children clung to their parents, trying to understand why the sky was glowing. High in orbit, the human fleet pushed forward from behind the moon, engines rumbling like thunder in space. Commander Arya Collins watched her ships move into attack formations. She felt fear growing inside her, but she buried it deep. Fear was a luxury she could not allow. She had to become the calm at the center of the storm. Captain Ryan Holt reported, "Alien scouts are splitting into attack wings. They're scanning major cities. We need to intercept now." Arya nodded. "Target the nearest wing. Do not let them reach the surface." Human fighters shot forward, leaving bright tails of fire behind them. They were smaller than the alien ships, less advanced, less armored, but humans had something the aliens did not expect: creativity, instinct, and a refusal to surrender. The first clash was violent and fast. Alien beams cut through space like blades, slicing two human fighters before they even fired. But the remaining pilots fought with pure determination. They darted between the beams, used old-fashioned missile tricks, and even faked engine failures to confuse the enemy. One pilot, call sign Raven, flew dangerously close to an alien scout and released a missile at point-blank range. The explosion ripped through the alien hull, sending metal fragments spinning. Arya whispered, "Good. Show them what humans can do." But the aliens responded with deadly precision. A massive alien cruiser appeared, firing a wave of blue energy that knocked 3 human ships into spirals of fire. Arya clenched her fists. "Keep formation. Do not scatter." On Earth's surface, the situation grew even worse. Alien dropships entered the atmosphere, leaving burning trails behind them. They landed in empty fields, forests, and coastlines, deploying tall mechanical walkers that scanned the land. These machines released drones that flew into towns, mapping everything, searching for weakness. People watched from windows as these strange metallic insects buzzed through the sky, glowing with cold blue lights. In one small town, a farmer named Daniel saw a drone hovering near his barn. Instead of hiding, he picked up an old hunting rifle and aimed. The shot did nothing, the bullet bounced off the drone's armor, but the act of resistance spread online within minutes. People saw the video and felt a spark of courage. Humans were afraid, but they were not helpless. Meanwhile, inside the alien mothership, Overlord Zeroth observed the battle with mild amusement. "These humans resist more than expected," he said, tapping his claw on the control table. His second-in-command replied, "Shall we increase force?" Zeroth shook his head. "Not yet. Let them struggle. Breaking a fighting spirit makes better slaves." Back on Earth, Arya received reports of power outages, communication jamming, and alien probes landing across continents. She knew things were getting out of control. "We cannot protect Earth from orbit alone," she said. "We need to push them back." Captain Ryan pointed to the tactical map. "If we strike their forward cruiser, it will disrupt their whole formation." Arya agreed. "Then we hit it with everything we have." She opened a channel to every ship in the fleet. "This is Commander Arya Collins. Our home is under attack. Our families are in danger. We will not let these invaders chain us. Focus on the cruiser ahead. Break their line." Human warships moved together like a rising storm. Missile bays opened, rail cannons charged, and laser batteries powered up. The alien cruiser turned its massive weapon toward Earth, preparing to fire a beam strong enough to burn through a city. Arya saw the charging energy and felt a chill run through her. "All ships, fire now." The human fleet unleashed a rain of fire. Dozens of missiles streaked across space, followed by plasma bolts and railgun slugs. The alien cruiser tried to activate its shields, but the human attack came too fast, too chaotic. Explosions crawled across the cruiser's surface, tearing down its armor layer by layer. Finally, a massive blast ripped through its core. The cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash, lighting up space like a second sun. Cheers burst across the human communication channels. But the celebration ended quickly. New alien signals appeared on the radar. More ships, bigger ships, darker ships. Arya stared at the screen, her heart pounding. The first wave had only been scouts. The real invasion fleet was just arriving. And humanity was only at the beginning of the war. Deep inside the massive alien mothership, far beyond the reach of human weapons, Overlord Zeroth watched the first wave of the invasion with calm, cold eyes. His throne room was a long dark chamber filled with glowing blue symbols and floating screens that showed every corner of the solar system. The walls pulsed like a living creature, and the air vibrated with the hum of alien power. Zeroth leaned forward, tapping one claw against the arm of his throne as he reviewed the battle. The destruction of the alien cruiser annoyed him, but only slightly. To him, losing a scout cruiser was like losing a single piece in a huge game. It meant nothing to the Zero Dominion. They had conquered dozens of worlds before, and each species had tried to resist at first. But resistance always broke under fear, destruction, and hopelessness. Zeroth believed humanity would be no different. Standing beside him was High Scientist Lurav, a thin alien with long silver limbs and bright, intelligent eyes. Unlike the warriors, Lurav studied every species before they were enslaved. He cleared his throat and said, "Overlord, I must warn you again. Humans are unusual. Their technology is primitive, yes, but their behavior is unpredictable. They adapt quickly. They fight even when losing." Zeroth let out a harsh laugh. "Then they will suffer longer before kneeling. It does not matter. Primitive minds always break." Lurav hesitated. "I am not so certain. Humans do not act like other species. Their history shows they fight their own kind constantly, yet unite instantly when facing a greater enemy. They are stubborn. They sacrifice themselves for strangers. Their emotion makes them dangerous." Zeroth's 4 eyes narrowed. "Emotion is a weakness. We will crush it." Below them, hundreds of alien drones buzzed through the mothership hangar. Rows of soldiers with armored exoskeletons marched in perfect formation. Giant war machines stood ready, glowing with deadly blue energy. The Zero Dominion had invaded peaceful planets with far less preparation. This time they came fully armed, expecting a quick victory. Lurav walked to a large projection map showing Earth. "Our long-range scans show humans still do not understand our purpose. They believe we want resources or territory. They do not know the truth." Zeroth smiled, revealing sharp metallic teeth. "Yes, the truth." He activated a hologram. It showed dozens of alien planets, all glowing with blue crystal towers. "We do not conquer worlds for land. We take species. We make them build, mine, and serve our empire." He zoomed into the hologram, showing thousands of alien slaves working under brutal conditions. Humans will join them. Their strong bodies and creative minds make them particularly valuable. When we break their resistance, they will be perfect tools. Lurav felt a small shiver of worry but kept his voice steady. Their creativity is exactly why I advise caution. Already their fleet has damaged our scouts. Their leaders respond quickly. Their soldiers fight without fear. Zeroth waved a dismissive hand. The first wave was only to test their defenses. The real fleet is arriving now. As he spoke, massive dark shapes appeared on the outer scanners. Dozens of war carriers and heavy destroyers entered the solar system, each one larger and stronger than the ships humanity had just fought. These ships were built for only one purpose: to break planets. Lurav watched them in silence, feeling both awe and dread. With this force, Zeroth said proudly, we will crush Earth's defense in one strike. Their fleet will burn. Their leaders will fall. Their people will surrender. Then his voice deepened. And if they still resist, we release the mind net. Lurav's face tightened. Overlord, the mind net is unstable. It affects all living brains. If used near humans, it may cause chaos beyond control. Zeroth smiled wider. Good. Chaos weakens the spirit. He stepped closer to the screen showing Earth. The humans on Mars were only the beginning. Our prototype mind net broke their minds in minutes. Soon we will release the full version over Earth. Their armies will fall without firing a shot. Lurav remembered the Mars survivors screaming, clawing at their helmets, losing all sense of self. It haunted him. Overlord, this is cruelty beyond need. Humans do not deserve. Zeroth slammed a fist onto the console. They deserve nothing. They are insects. Their world is a resource. Their bodies are tools. Their children will be workers for the Dominion. That is their destiny. Silence filled the chamber. Lurav lowered his head but spoke softly. They will not fall easily. I can feel it. Zeroth leaned back in his throne. Then we will enjoy breaking them. Suddenly an alarm sounded. A hologram showed the human fleet moving faster than expected. Arya Collins had launched a counterattack that the aliens had not predicted. Zeroth narrowed his eyes. Interesting. They dare to strike first. Lurav whispered, I told you, humans do not kneel. Zeroth stood, tall and furious. Then we will crush their spirit. Prepare the second assault. Humanity will learn what it means to defy the Dominion. And as the alien war fleet ignited their engines, heading straight for Earth, the true invasion was about to begin. The human fleet moved through the cold darkness of space with engines burning bright as Commander Arya Collins stood at the front of the command deck, staring at the latest report on her screen. The Mars colony, once a busy, growing human settlement with mining crews, research labs, and new housing domes, was now nothing but silence. No signals. No life signs. No heat readings. Nothing. It was as if the entire colony had vanished from existence. Arya felt a chill inside her chest, not from fear but from knowing something terrible had happened there. She ordered her fleet to change direction. Head for Mars. Full speed, she said, and the warships turned like a great metal storm moving across space. As the fleet approached Mars, the red planet looked strangely dim, as if a shadow covered its surface. When they entered orbit, the screens showed the truth. The colony was in ruins. Buildings smashed. Domes shattered. Mining rigs torn apart. The ground scarred with huge burn marks. It looked like a battlefield where only one side had ever fought. No bodies were found, which made the silence even worse. Something had taken the humans, but left no trace. Arya felt her stomach twist. Begin search teams, she commanded. We need answers. Dropships landed near the colony remains. Soldiers walked through dust-filled air, weapons ready, their boots crunching over broken glass and metal. Strange blue crystals were found stuck to the walls and ground, glowing softly like alien veins spreading across the ruins. Scientists immediately began scanning them. These are not natural, one whispered. Something was testing something here. In the darkness of an underground bunker, a small device flickered. The soldiers approached with caution and discovered a locked steel door. Behind it, weak coughing could be heard. "We have survivors," one soldier shouted. The door was forced open and 2 injured humans were carried out, pale and shaking. One of them, a technician named Mira, could barely speak. Her voice trembled as she said, They came from the sky, blue lights everywhere. We tried to hide." She clutched Aria's arm tightly as if she was holding on to life itself. "They used a machine, something that attacked our minds. People screamed, forgot their own names. They fell like puppets." Aria felt her blood run cold. This must be the mind net the aliens planned to use later. Mira continued, tears falling down her dusty face. "We tried to shut it down. We destroyed the control panel. That's why they left. They thought we were all dead." The second survivor, a security officer named Kane, added, "They were not here for resources. They were testing a weapon. A weapon made to break humans from the inside." Aria's fists clenched. So the aliens were not just attacking, they were experimenting. They wanted to find the fastest way to conquer humans without wasting time on battles. The soldiers found more evidence inside the ruins. Strange alien devices melted onto the floor, signs of high-energy radiation, and deep claw marks on walls where humans had tried to escape. But one discovery was worse than all the others. In the main mining dome, they found a huge circular imprint burned into the ground. The pattern matched alien landing pads seen on other worlds the Zyril Dominion had conquered. Scientists scanned the imprint and confirmed it. The aliens had activated a prototype mind net on Mars, and the colony was its first victim. Aria stared at the ruins in silence. Her heart burned with anger and grief. "This was not war," she whispered. "This was cruelty." Kane nodded weakly. "They wanted to see how fast we break." Aria turned to her officers. "Prepare the data we collected. We must warn Earth. We must prepare countermeasures before the full mind net is used." But before she could leave the bunker, a new alarm sounded. One of the soldiers shouted, "Commander, you need to see this." They rushed outside. In the red sky above Mars, several alien drones flew in tight formation. The drones had been monitoring them the entire time. One drone projected a message directly onto the ground in glowing alien symbols. The translation system processed it slowly, but when the words appeared, everyone froze. "Do not resist. Humanity belongs to the Dominion." Aria stared at the message with fire in her eyes. "Not today," she whispered. The drones suddenly armed themselves. Blue lights flashed. Soldiers ducked for cover as the drones fired energy beams toward the survivors and the search teams. Human fighters launched from orbit and intercepted them, blasting the drones apart with precise shots. The brief battle ended quickly, but the meaning was clear. The aliens knew humans had discovered the truth, and they wanted to silence them. Aria looked at Mars one last time before boarding her ship. She felt grief, anger, and a fierce determination rising inside her. "We will not break," she whispered. "We will make them regret touching our people." As the human fleet left Mars and turned toward Earth, Aria knew the war had changed. It was no longer about defending territory. It was about stopping a species that wanted humans as slaves. And now they had only one goal: fight back with everything they had before the aliens unleashed the full mind net on Earth. The real battle had only just begun. The human fleet raced through space like a rising storm as Commander Aria Collins prepared for the first major counterattack, her eyes sharp with determination after the terrible discovery on Mars. She stood at the center of the command deck, watching holograms of alien formations spreading toward Earth like a blue infection across the black void. The evidence from Mars had changed everything. This was no longer just an invasion, it was a planned enslavement, a cold and calculated operation meant to break humanity without mercy. Aria refused to let that happen. "All ships, prepare for coordinated strike," she ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of lives depending on her. Dozens of human warships moved into tight formation, engines burning bright, hulls shaking as they shifted power to shields and weapons. Soldiers, engineers, and pilots across the fleet felt the tension in their bones. They all knew this battle could be the turning point. If they won, humanity would have hope. If they lost, Earth would fall. In a small fighter bay, pilots strapped into their cockpits, each one whispering quiet words to themselves. Fear, courage, promises, memories. One pilot, Raven, touched a photo taped to her console, her little brother smiling. She whispered, "I'll come home. I promise." Then her fighter launched into the dark, joining the wave of human ships rising like a fiery swarm. The alien fleet ahead of them was massive, their ships shaped like blades, glowing with blue energy. They moved with perfect precision, controlled by cold logic and superior technology. But the aliens did not understand the human mind. They could not predict chaos, bravery, or sacrifice. As the fleets closed in, Arya gave the command. Attack! The first volley came from the human side. Hundreds of missiles shot forward, leaving bright trails of fire behind them. Plasma bolts fired from destroyers, railguns thundered, and fighters darted toward the enemy like streaks of light. The aliens responded instantly, releasing beams of energy that cut through space like lightning. Several missiles exploded before reaching their targets. 3 fighters were destroyed in the first second. Human ships trembled under the impact, shields flickering, but they kept moving. Captain Ryan Holt monitored the battle and shouted updates. Enemy cruiser charging main cannon. If it fires, it will hit Earth's orbit. Arya's eyes locked onto the cruiser on the screen. It was enormous, easily twice the size of a human battleship. Its weapon core glowed brighter and brighter. "Focus all fire on that cruiser," Arya commanded. "Do not let it fire." Human destroyers turned sharply, redirecting their cannons toward the alien giant. A rain of fire hit the cruiser's shield, shaking it but not breaking it. It kept charging. Arya gritted her teeth. "We need our fighters in close." Raven and her squad dived through the storm of enemy fire, weaving between energy beams that sliced through space dangerously close to their hulls. Sweat dripped down her face as she shouted, "Squad Alpha, target the shield nodes. Hit them hard." They launched a wave of anti-shield torpedoes. The torpedoes struck the alien cruiser's glowing nodes, causing sparks and explosions that rippled across the shield. The barrier flickered, weakened. Arya seized the moment. All ships hit the exposed hull. Human warships unleashed everything they had. Explosions crawled across the alien cruiser, tearing open metal plates and igniting internal systems. But the alien ship fought back. Its secondary cannons fired rapid beams, striking one human frigate and slicing it clean in half. Arya felt her heart twist as the ship vanished in flames, but she could not stop. She could not mourn. Not now. The cruiser's main cannon reached full power. The screen turned bright blue as it aimed toward Earth. "No!" Arya shouted. But before the alien cannon could fire, a human battleship named Valor moved directly into its path. Its captain spoke his last words over the comm, "For Earth." The cruiser's cannon fired. A massive beam struck Valor, engulfing it completely in blinding blue light. The blast shook the entire battlefield. When the light faded, the battleship was gone, destroyed, sacrificed to protect Earth. The alien cannon overloaded from firing too fast, causing internal damage. Suddenly, its entire core went critical. A colossal explosion erupted from inside the cruiser, tearing it apart. The shock wave rippled through space. Human crews cheered, crying tears of relief and triumph. Even Arya allowed herself a small breath. "Your sacrifice will not be forgotten," she whispered. But the battle was far from over. More alien ships pushed forward, angered by the destruction of their cruiser. Heavy destroyers fired relentless beams. Drones swarmed like metallic insects. Human ships struggled to hold formation under the pressure. Ryan shouted, "Commander, we are losing ground. We can't hold them much longer." Arya stared at the battlefield, mind racing. She refused to retreat. "Not now. Not after everything. We push forward," she said. "We show them humanity does not break." Human ships reformed, gathering all remaining power for one last coordinated attack. Missiles, plasma, and energy fire lit the darkness as both sides clashed with desperate fury. And in those chaotic moments, something became clear. The aliens had technology, strategy, and numbers. But humanity had something stronger, an unbreakable will to survive. The first major victory had been won, but the war was only growing more dangerous. Arya looked at the burning stars of battle and whispered, "This is only the beginning." Commander Ryland stood on the bridge of the Resolute, staring at the giant glowing map of the battlefield. Humanity's fleet was spread across the dark side of the alien outpost, shields flickering from constant hits. The enemy ships were not slowing down. If anything, they were changing formation, becoming faster and more aggressive. Ryland felt a cold wave run down his spine. Something was wrong. This attack was not random, and it was not desperate. It looked planned, calculated, almost like the aliens wanted the humans to move in a specific direction. Captain Mira saw his expression and stepped closer. She kept her voice low. "Sir, what are you thinking?" Ryland tightened his jaw. "I think they are not trying to win this battle. I think they are delaying us." Mira felt her stomach twist. Delaying us for what? Before Ryland could answer, a loud alarm echoed across the bridge. "Incoming signal!" a technician shouted. Not from the enemy, from deep space. Everyone went silent. The holographic map shifted, revealing a massive signature, larger than any ship Ryland had ever seen. It was still far, very far, but the readings were terrifying. It was moving fast, straight toward the human fleet. Ryland whispered, That cannot be right. The size is impossible." The technician swallowed hard. "Sir, the signature matches the alien supercarrier class. The same class that destroyed 3 planets." The bridge fell completely quiet. That ship had wiped out entire cities with a single energy surge. It carried tens of thousands of drones, soldiers, and weapons beyond human understanding. And now it was coming directly for them. Ryland felt his chest tighten, but he forced himself to speak clearly. "Mira, send word to the fleet. All ships, defensive posture. Prepare for the next phase. The enemy wants us tired before that monster arrives." Mira nodded and rushed to relay the command. Down below in the engineering decks, crew members worked with shaking hands, reinforcing shields and power lines. Officers ran across corridors, shouting orders. It felt like the whole ship was holding its breath. Meanwhile, the alien ships continued to attack in waves, always retreating just before getting destroyed. Almost like they were buying time. In the medical bay, wounded soldiers lay on beds, listening to rumors spreading like fire. "Did you hear?" one whispered. "A supercarrier is coming, the big one." Another soldier tried to stay brave. "We have the fleet. We can fight back." But everyone could hear the fear in his voice. On the Resolute, Ryland stood in silence, watching the timer counting down until the supercarrier's arrival. 2 hours. Only 2 hours until the largest war machine in the galaxy reached them. Ryland looked at the current swarm of enemy ships. "They are not our real enemy," he muttered. "They are just tools." Mira returned to his side. "Orders delivered. The fleet is preparing." She hesitated. "Ryland, we are not strong enough to face a supercarrier alone." "I know," he said quietly. "But we will not be alone." Mira blinked in confusion. Ryland expanded the map. A small blinking signal appeared at the far edge, distant, faint, but steady. "That is the message I sent 6 hours ago," Ryland explained. "I contacted the outer colonies for backup. They have heavy cruisers and experimental weapons. If they got the message, they will come." Myra's eyes widened with hope. "How long?" "Maybe 1 hour after the carrier arrives." The hope faded again. That was too long. Ryland saw the worry and placed a hand on her shoulder. "We only need to slow the supercarrier. Survive long enough for reinforcements. That is our goal." Suddenly the bridge lights flashed red again. "Enemy boarding pods incoming," someone yelled. Ryland's eyes snapped toward the window. Small dark pods were launching from the alien ships, heading directly toward the human fleet like metal insects. They were trying to invade the ships from the inside. "All hands," Ryland shouted. "Prepare for boarding defense. Marines to every entry point." The crew raced into action as the pod slammed into the outer hull with metallic bangs. The corridors shook as enemy soldiers began cutting through the metal like it was soft clay. The first breach exploded open, and alien warriors flooded inside. Tall, armored, and heavily armed, they moved like shadows, firing energy blasts that burned through walls. Human Marines fought back fiercely, taking cover behind bulkheads, firing rifles, and throwing shock grenades. Screams echoed through the halls, the sound of metal tearing, sparks flying, and boots pounding the floors. Ryland could hear the distant gunfire even from the bridge. "They are trying to disable us before the carrier arrives," he growled. "They want us helpless." Mira drew her sidearm. "Sir, should we evacuate the bridge?" "No," Ryland said firmly. "We hold this position. If we lose command, we lose everything." Outside the ship, explosions lit the dark space like flashes of lightning. Alien ships continued their strange pattern of attacking and retreating. And the timer kept dropping. The supercarrier drew closer, its shadow growing like a giant approaching the battlefield. Ryland stared at the countdown, every second pounding in his chest. "Hold the line," he whispered. Just hold the line. Because humanity's greatest threat was still coming, and the real war had not even begun. The battle inside the Resolute grew worse with every passing minute as alien soldiers pushed deeper into the ship. Commander Ryland moved between officers, giving rapid orders while keeping one eye on the main screen that showed the giant alien supercarrier closing in. There were still 40 minutes left until it reached firing range, but even that felt too soon. Gunfire echoed through the hallways, shaking the bridge floor under his boots. Mira reported updates with a tense voice. "Deck 9 is overrun, Deck 11 is holding, and Deck 12 just lost power. Our Marines are fighting hard, but the aliens keep coming." Ryland knew the enemy soldiers were stronger, bigger, and born for war, but humanity fought with something else: anger, hope, and the simple refusal to die. Still, the situation was getting worse. Suddenly another alarm blared. "Multiple hull breaches on the lower levels," a technician yelled. "If they reach the engine core, we lose the ship." Ryland clenched his fists. "Send every free Marine to the engines. Seal all other paths. The enemy cannot reach that room." Meanwhile, alien ships outside began firing again, shaking the Resolute so hard that lights flickered. Sparks rained from the ceiling as consoles overloaded. The entire fleet was under pressure. On the human destroyer Valiant, Captain Heron shouted orders as his ship fought 3 enemy cruisers at once. On the battleship Orion, Admiral Kestrel struggled to maintain formation as half her weapons went offline. All across the fleet, commanders yelled, guns fired, metal burned, and fear spread like smoke. But humanity held the line. Back on the Resolute, Ryland gripped the edge of the holotable as a sudden explosion rocked the ship. "What was that?" he demanded. Mira scanned the data. "Boarding pods just hit the command tower. They're trying to break into the bridge." The crew froze for one terrifying second. Then Ryland snapped into action. "Lock down everything. Barricade the doors. Get the heavy turrets online." Marines rushed to the bridge entrance, dragging crates and flipping metal tables to form a blockade. Automatic turrets slid out from the ceiling, aiming at the door. The sounds of alien drills cutting through metal grew louder, like some giant beast scratching to get in. The smell of smoke drifted in. Mira looked at Ryland. "They are doing everything to destroy us before the carrier arrives." Ryland nodded. "Because if the Resolute falls, the whole fleet loses coordination. They want our fleet blind." The cutting suddenly stopped. A long, eerie silence filled the bridge. Everyone held their breath. Then the door exploded inward with a blast of white-hot energy. Alien warriors stormed inside, tall and armored, their glowing eyes scanning for targets. The turrets fired instantly, filling the air with noise. Humans dove for cover as energy bolts cut through consoles. Ryland pulled out his sidearm and fired at an alien rushing toward Mira. The creature fell, but 3 more entered. The bridge became chaos: smoke, fire, shouting, metal shattering, sparks flying everywhere. Rylan dragged Mira behind a console as an alien blast scorched the wall where she had stood a second earlier. "They want us dead, not captured," she said breathlessly. "Of course they do," Rylan replied. "We ruined their plan to enslave humanity." The Marines fought fiercely, pushing forward inch by inch. One Marine, Sergeant Vale, charged head-on with a shield, slamming into an alien and knocking it back. Another Marine fired a pulse rifle that tore through armor. Slowly, the humans gained ground. But just as they began to push the aliens out, a heavy thud shook the whole bridge. Everyone turned. A massive enemy warrior, twice the size of the others, stepped through the smoke. It had thick armor, glowing symbols across its chest, and a huge blade in one hand. Mira whispered, "A royal guard. They sent elite soldiers." The giant warrior roared and rushed forward. Marines fired, but their bullets bounced off its armor. It slammed one Marine aside like a toy. Rylan grabbed Mira and pulled her back. "Fall back. Focus fire on its joints," he shouted. The humans aimed at the creature's elbows and knees, the only weak points. It slowed, but it kept coming. Then Sergeant Vale leaped onto its back, stabbing a plasma knife into its neck. The creature screamed and shook violently, throwing Vale across the room. But the distraction worked. Mira fired a charged pulse that hit the creature's knee, and Rylan fired at the other leg. The giant fell to one knee. The Marines fired together, hitting the weak point until finally, with a loud crash, the massive warrior fell dead. The remaining aliens retreated from the bridge. The door sealed behind them. The crew gasped for breath, the room filled with smoke and broken screens. "We survived," Mira said, coughing. Rylan shook his head. This was only the first wave. He checked the battlefield map. The supercarrier was only 25 minutes away now. And something else appeared on the scanner, another large signature behind it. Mira stared at the screen in fear. "There's more than one?" Rylan nodded slowly. "This isn't an attack. It's an invasion." The bridge fell silent as everyone realized the truth. Humanity was about to face the full power of an empire that had planned their slavery for centuries. And the real storm was only beginning. The largest alien ship yet appeared on the edge of Earth's orbit, its shadow swallowing entire cities in darkness as Commander Arya Collins watched the monitors from the flagship horizon, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. The alien mothership was enormous, far bigger than anything humanity had ever seen, its hull lined with energy cannons glowing an eerie blue, ready to reduce entire continents to ash. From below, cities trembled as people noticed the dark shape eclipsing the sun, panic spreading like wildfire. Satellites detected thousands of smaller escort ships forming a massive formation around the supership, each one bristling with weapons. Arya's hands gripped the console tightly. "All ships, prepare for battle. Focus fire on the lead cannons. Protect Earth at all costs," she ordered. The human fleet tightened formation, engines roaring, shields powering up as pilots prepared for the most dangerous fight of their lives. Every ship, from the largest battleship to the smallest fighter, moved with precision, knowing that a single mistake could mean destruction. Captain Ryan Holt reported from the Vanguard, "Commander, the alien formation is stronger than our initial estimates. They are coordinated and moving with deadly speed." Arya nodded, her face calm but her mind racing. "We anticipated that. Adjust tactics, use unpredictability. Hit them from unexpected angles." Human fighters leaped forward, weaving through the storm of alien fire, dodging energy beams that tore through space, striking with missiles, railguns, and plasma blasts. The first exchange was brutal. Several human ships were destroyed instantly, hulls ripped apart, crews lost in seconds, but humanity's fleet fought back with determination that could not be measured in weapons alone. Down on Earth, civilians watched the sky in horror as flashes of light and energy beams streaked across the heavens. Buildings shook as the alien ships fired warning blasts, forcing people to flee underground. Yet even in terror, people sent messages, prayed, and held their loved ones tightly. Every human on the planet was aware that this battle was more than survival. It was their very freedom. Meanwhile, in the flagship Horizon, Arya analyzed the alien tactics. The mothership's energy shields flickered under repeated attacks, but not enough to fail. Arya noticed weak points near the weapon banks. "Target the cannons and shield nodes simultaneously," she ordered. "Fighters, split into squads and coordinate strikes." Dozens of human fighters dove toward the alien mothership, dodging volleys of energy and dodging drones that attacked from all directions. Missiles hit shield nodes, causing sparks and explosions, while plasma bolts struck weapon banks, temporarily disabling a few turrets. Arya felt a surge of hope. Humanity could fight back, but she knew it would not be easy. The alien supership responded with brutal force, releasing a massive wave of drones that swarmed the human fleet. Hundreds of metallic shapes darted in all directions, firing deadly energy at human ships. Many fighters were destroyed, torn apart in seconds. Still, humans pressed forward, exploiting every small weakness, every moment of hesitation. Captain Holt's voice crackled over the comm. "Commander, our left flank is failing. They are pushing our ships back." Arya's mind raced. "Divert reinforcements from the right flank. Keep the pressure on the cannons. We must hold them at bay until our counterstrike works." Human destroyers fired volleys of missiles at the alien mothership while fighters darted in and out, avoiding deadly beams. In the chaos, a heavy cruiser named Defender took a direct hit, shattering its engines and spinning into space. The crew was lost, but the damage it caused to the alien ship's hull opened another weak point. Arya immediately seized the opportunity. "Target that breach. All firepower, focus on the exposed core." A coordinated strike from dozens of human ships hit the weak point, creating a small explosion on the alien ship's surface. Sparks flew, and part of the alien armor peeled away, revealing the glowing energy within. Cheers erupted in the fleet channels, but the victory was brief. New alien reinforcements appeared from the mothership, firing larger energy cannons that struck two human ships, sending them spiraling into destruction. Arya felt a knot of tension tighten in her chest. This was a battle of attrition, and she could not afford to lose more ships than necessary. She turned to the communication officer. "Send signal to every ship, coordinate attacks. Focus on weak points, keep moving, and protect Earth at all costs. Failure is not an option." The fleet responded immediately, missiles, lasers, and railguns converging on weak points with deadly accuracy. Fighters darted between beams of energy, striking, dodging, and retreating before the alien cannons could adjust. The mothership shuddered under the impact but remained in orbit, firing more energy toward Earth. Cities below shook as alarms rang. People ran for cover, hearts pounding, watching the sky lit with flashes of battle. Arya knew they could not hold this position forever. "We need a final strike," she muttered, eyes scanning the data. "All available ships, prepare for synchronized assault on core weapons. If we can destroy them, we can force retreat." Human ships moved like one, launching volleys at the core, dodging everything the alien fleet threw at them. The mothership shuddered violently, small explosions tearing at the hull. For a moment, it seemed possible that humans could win. But then a massive secondary energy cannon charged, brightening the dark of space, ready to strike. Arya gritted her teeth. The war was far from over. Humanity had fought back with everything they had, but the alien supership remained a terrifying presence. The countdown to destruction was still ticking, and Earth's survival hung by a fragile thread. The fleet held its position, every ship firing, every crew member focused, knowing that if they failed now, humanity itself could fall. And in that tense silence, lit only by the flashes of battle, Arya whispered to herself, "We will not let them take our world." Commander Arya Collins stood on the bridge of the Horizon, her eyes fixed on the enormous alien mothership looming above Earth, its shadow covering entire continents like a living darkness. The battle had raged for hours, human ships exploding in flashes of fire and debris, alien drones swarming like metallic insects, but humanity refused to yield. Arya's hands gripped the console tightly as reports flooded in from every corner of the fleet. "Left flank is losing 3 destroyers, Commander," shouted Captain Ryan Holt over the comm. "We can hold them. Just keep the pressure on." Arya's jaw tightened. "Divert all available firepower to support the left flank. Fighters, split into two groups. One distracts, one strikes weak points. Pilots launched in perfect formation, weaving between beams of alien energy that cut through the darkness. Explosions lit up space, missiles streaking like falling stars, each impact shaking ships and sending tremors through the fleet. On Earth, cities shook as energy beams struck the atmosphere, emergency alarms blaring, sirens wailing, and civilians fleeing to shelters. From orbit, it looked like a storm of fire and metal, and yet humanity's fleet held together despite the losses. Arya turned to the communication officer. "Status on the Helios cannon?" she asked. The officer hesitated, glancing at the charge indicator. "Almost ready, Commander. 10 minutes and we can fire, but the alien shields are still partially active." Arya nodded. "We buy time. All units, focus on damaging shield generators. Every strike counts." Marines on the horizon and other ships fired volleys of missiles and plasma bursts at the shield nodes of the alien mothership, creating small cracks in the armor, sparks flying in the void. Fighters darted in and out like lightning, each one taking enormous risk to hit the weak points. Suddenly, the alien mothership unleashed a wave of drones directly toward the fleet. Hundreds of metallic shapes swarmed through space, firing energy that shredded human ships in seconds. Several destroyers were lost immediately. The fleet shook under the assault, and alarms blared continuously. Arya clenched her fists. "Focus fire on drones. Target their energy cores. No ship can fall without taking at least one alien with it." Soldiers in the Marines' bays fought back, targeting boarding pods and small ships with precision. Explosions lit the halls of the horizon as aliens tried to board through airlocks. Energy bolts burned through walls, and sparks rained from ceilings, but human Marines pushed them back, using courage, skill, and desperation. Then, a massive energy cannon on the alien mothership began to charge, glowing brighter and brighter. Arya's stomach tightened. "They are going to fire on Earth," she shouted. "We need to stop it now." Captain Holt's voice came over the comm. "All fighters, intercept. Destroy that cannon at any cost." Human pilots dove through volleys of enemy fire, dodging beams and missiles as they approached the glowing cannon. Explosions rippled across the alien hull as missiles and plasma struck weak points. The cannon shuddered under the hits but continued to charge. Arya's mind raced. There was only one chance. Prepare the Helios cannon. Manual override in 10 seconds. Fire when I give the order, she commanded. Technicians worked frantically, sweat dripping from their faces as energy built inside the massive weapon. Meanwhile, alien reinforcements continued their assault, drones and smaller ships darting through the battlefield, exploding human ships in seconds. Pilots screamed in comms as their fighters were torn apart. Arya gritted her teeth. Humanity had lost too much already. "We will not fall here. Not today," she whispered. As the Helios cannon reached full charge, Arya ordered all remaining fighters and warships to focus fire on the alien mothership's core weapons. Missiles, plasma, and railgun slugs struck the weak points simultaneously. Sparks flew across the alien hull, shields flickered, and cracks began to appear. Then, in perfect coordination, Arya pressed the override button. The Helios cannon fired, a massive beam of blinding energy cutting through space, hitting the alien mothership's central power core. The ship shook violently. Explosions ripped through its hull, and panels blew outward, sending debris spinning through orbit. Alarms and warning sirens from the alien vessel echoed faintly through space before everything went silent. The remaining alien fleet, shocked and disoriented by the destruction of their command ship, began to retreat. Smaller ships fled in every direction, leaving the human fleet in relative safety. The bridge erupted in cheers, but Arya did not celebrate. She watched the remains of the alien mothership burn in orbit, feeling the weight of every life lost, every ship destroyed. Captain Holt approached, exhausted. "Commander, we did it. We held them off." Arya shook her head slowly. "We won this battle, but the war is not over. There are more ships out there, more enemies. They wanted to enslave humanity, and they will try again. But today we showed them that humans do not kneel." Around the fleet, humans repaired ships, rescued survivors, and tended to the wounded. On Earth, people emerged from shelters, seeing the glow of victory in the sky, a moment of hope amid the devastation. Arya looked at the horizon, exhausted but resolute. "They came to take our world, to enslave our people," she whispered. "But we fought back, and we will continue to fight, until humanity is free." In the distance, one small alien escape pod drifted toward deep space, unnoticed by most. Arya did not see it yet, but its presence was a warning, a promise that the war was far from over. Humanity had survived the first major strike, but the galaxy was vast, and enemies remained. And somewhere, far away, the remnants of the Zeril Dominion were already planning their next move. The battlefield around Earth was quiet now, but Commander Arya Collins knew that silence was only temporary. The alien fleet had retreated, leaving behind a trail of destruction, burning debris, and the cries of survivors. Arya stood on the bridge of the horizon, looking at the battered human fleet, damaged ships drifting, smoke rising from engines, and sailors exhausted from hours of non-stop fighting. Relief mixed with grief in her chest. They had survived the largest attack humanity had ever faced, but at a terrible cost. "Report," she demanded, her voice steady despite the exhaustion. Captain Ryan Holt replied, "We've lost 20% of our fleet, Commander. Civilian casualties are high, but Earth's major cities are still standing. Most of the alien ships that survived have retreated beyond orbit. We can repair, regroup, and prepare for the next attack." Arya nodded, but she knew that preparation would not be easy. Supplies were low, repairs would take days, and the enemy was still out there, watching, planning, and waiting. "Send a fleet reconnaissance team into deep space," she ordered. "We need to know where the remnants of the Zeril Dominion are regrouping. We cannot wait for them to strike again." Meanwhile on Earth, survivors were emerging from shelters, streets littered with debris and smoke, the cries of the wounded echoing through shattered cities. Emergency teams worked tirelessly to rescue civilians trapped under collapsed buildings, while families clung to each other, grateful to be alive. News broadcasts ran constantly, showing the bravery of human soldiers in space, the destruction caused by alien beams, and the stories of heroism that had saved countless lives. Arya watched the images, her mind racing with strategy and fear. She knew the aliens would not give up. The mind net they had tested on Mars was still a threat, waiting to be deployed against Earth. If the Zeril Dominion returned with full force, humanity could face destruction beyond anything seen before. She clenched her fists. "We cannot let them enslave our people. Not now, not ever." Captain Holt approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Commander, there are reports of unusual alien activity at the outer edges of the solar system. We believe they are repairing ships and preparing for a larger strike. They may be waiting for reinforcements from their home sectors." Arya's eyes narrowed. "Then we strike first. We cannot wait for them to come to us. Humanity will take the fight to them." Orders were sent immediately. Fleet commanders were instructed to assemble strike teams, prepare heavy weapons, and deploy reconnaissance missions to locate alien bases beyond known space. Scientists and engineers began working on countermeasures against the mind net, using data from Mars and the surviving scouts to develop shields that could protect human minds from alien control. Every department, every crew member, knew that the next battle would determine the fate of Earth. Meanwhile, in the shadowy depths of the alien empire, Overlord Zeroth watched the retreat of his forces with cold eyes. The destruction of the mothership had been unexpected, but it did not deter him. "They are strong," he said, his voice echoing in the chamber. "But they are only a primitive species. Their courage will not save them. They will break eventually." High Scientist Lurav approached, worry in his voice. "Overlord, their fleet is resilient. They are repairing, adapting, and preparing counterattacks. If we deploy the mind net now, it may be less effective, but if we wait, they may strike first." Zeroth's 4 eyes narrowed. "Then we will strike differently. We will destroy their hope before they reach for the stars. Humanity will kneel, and they will serve the Dominion. Nothing will stop us." Back in orbit around Earth, Arya Collins prepared her first offensive mission beyond the planet. Strike teams were loaded with the most advanced weapons, engines charged to maximum speed, and fighters ready for immediate launch. "This is our chance," she told Captain Holt. "If we can disrupt their repair stations and destroy key supply lines, we can cripple their next invasion before it begins." Pilots nodded, faces tight with focus and determination. Families on Earth prayed, hoping their soldiers would return alive. 4 hours, ships moved silently through deep space, scanning, waiting, ready to strike the alien remnants hidden in the darkness. Every crew member knew the risks. One mistake could mean death, or worse, falling into alien control. Arya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of humanity on her shoulders. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for every human life," she whispered. "We will not let them take our freedom." As the first strike team jumped into the outer regions, sensors detected alien movements, scouts, repair ships, and small warships attempting to evade human detection. The first shots were fired, brief but precise, as humans began hitting supply lines, damaging smaller ships, and setting explosions across the alien repair zones. The aliens were caught off guard, but they quickly organized counterattacks. Dogfights erupted in the cold void, lasers slicing through darkness, missiles streaking past burning wrecks, and explosions lighting the blackness of space. Arya watched every strike with sharp eyes, issuing commands, calculating risks, adjusting tactics in real time. The battle was dangerous, brutal, and unpredictable, but for the first time, humanity was on the offensive. And deep in her heart, she knew this. The Zero Dominion had underestimated humans once. They would never underestimate them again. The war was not over, but the tide had begun to turn, and Commander Arya Collins and the human fleet were ready to fight for every inch of their freedom, for every human life, and for the survival of their world. Humanity would not kneel. Humanity would not break. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the aliens would soon learn that determination, courage, and the human spirit could never be destroyed.